Mr. Cottrell, good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Good afternoon. I am fantastic. And yourself?
Yes, very well indeed. I just want to start by saying thank you, man. I know, given the last few weeks, you've moved to another country and life's been kind of flipped upside down. It always is when you're moving house. So appreciate you jumping on and spending some time with me this afternoon. But just want to let you know kind of how we kind of, yeah, do these testimonials. Ultimately for me, just want to have a conversation, talk about your struggles before, what you kind of took from working with us, and where you are now after you've finished working with us, in the hope that someone sees themselves in your story and it encourages them to get some help, whether that's from me or somebody else, just encourages them to take the first step. So, yeah, would you mind introducing yourself to everyone watching, explain who you are and what it is you do?
Of course. Yeah, ultimately, I'm originally a musician, spent my life on the road, but also experienced the darker side, the underbelly of the music industry, and got heavily involved in alcohol and drugs. And so, yeah, over the last 7 years, I went on my own journey of discovering and sort of healing that part of me. And so, yeah, I'm just over 7 years sober. So, couple of years ago, I've always been interested in business. Alongside being a musician, you have to hustle,
Hmm.
and I've always had this taste of hustling for in a business sense. And COVID happened, and various things. It made me take a step back from the music industry of touring around the world, and I was like, I want to help people in a different way, and that brought me on to starting, a sort of coaching or my own program, helping people like myself back 7 years ago
Hmm.
stop drinking alcohol, stop taking drugs, but more so focusing on the rebuilding of the identity behind that, because drinking is never the core of a problem. It's just a symptom, or drug taking. So, yeah, I help people go from being stuck in this horrible cycle of drinking, drug taking, or just unhealthy habits, basically, to thriving, not surviving. That's what I do in a nutshell.
Nice, man. Thanks for sharing. And yeah, I recall our first conversation. We went kind of back and forth on Instagram a couple of times. So why don't you kind of share with everyone what your biggest challenge or frustration was before joining the program?
So I think, like a lot of people with substance issues, I'm definitely on the neurodivergent spectrum of ADHD in particular, and I struggle to focus on one thing. So
Hmm.
I had all the best way to put it is I had all the pieces. Again, I don't have limiting beliefs because I stopped the one thing in my life which I thought was impossible, which was drinking. And the wonderful, for anyone watching this who may struggle on that side of stuff, if you remove the one thing which you don't think you can, that gives you the superpower of thinking everything's possible. And I truly believe it is. But it was more so I had all the pieces. I had the drive. I had the motivation. I had the charisma, I guess, on a in front of the camera to make content. I had all that. I just couldn't put it in the right order, and I also couldn't stick with just one system or one process. And I needed someone to say, "Right, Jack, just do this and stick doing that for a period of time. This is the system, and this what works. Just keep on doing it." So I was just going around in circles, trying this, trying that, trying all these different things, and none of it was working because I was never sticking long enough with one system, because there was always a shiny new object. I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that.
Yeah, absolutely. I see that every single day of the week. You know, it's one of those kind of really common patterns. And I think these days as well with social media, it's like an echo chamber. One person says do this, another person says do this, and another person says do that. Next thing you're like, which one do we do? You know, or you try all three, but you
Hmm.
don't try them for long enough, like you said. So yeah,
Hmm.
I see that every day. So thanks for sharing. So what made you kind of decide to work with me in particular, you know, because there's plenty of other coaches out there. What kind of, yeah, drew you to me?
So the big thing, and this is so important, this is what I carry forward into my own business, and will always have this approach, is that you actually want to help someone. It's not about making a sale. And
Mhm.
I'm someone who believes in, and this is part of the journey I've gone on myself, is you should give value to the world and not expect anything in return. And eventually, the more you give, so long as you're doing it for the right reasons, you will receive value back.
Mhm.
And it is so obvious that there's so many online coaches, particularly in the business area. So coaches teaching coaches to be coaches who are literally doing it to make money.
Mhm.
And that doesn't wash with me at all. I actually despise it because they're doing it for the wrong reasons. And that's not the way I want to run a business. So
Mhm.
the big thing which spoke to me with you is that I remember when we spoke, I was in Thailand and I was in a pretty difficult place financially, um, because I'd been throwing so many things to try and make this work. Um, and you genuinely seemed interested in if I was all right. And most people will kill the conversation
Mhm.
of being like, okay, this guy doesn't have any money. Well, fuck it. I'm not going to help this person because it's not what they're going for. Whereas you generally just were like, oh, is everything all right? But it seemed sincere. Everyone can be like that. You seemed sincere in your approach, um, speaking to me. So that was someone who genuinely wanted to help. And I don't care, I don't care how good someone is or how good an appointment setter is. You can tell through a message if someone genuinely does care or not. And moving forward, that's become very apparent that you do care about not just me, but everyone,
Mhm.
and it's this giving mentality rather than this taking mentality. So that was the big key thing because I've had a lot of people message me. Still to this day, people are messaging me all the time trying to sell me things from people like yourself.
Mhm.
And most people just want the sale. They don't want to help.
No.
So
Well, thanks, man. That means a lot. I've said that to you before. You've mentioned several times that I actually do care and see it. It's apparent in the program. But for me, I always just think, I got into coaching to help people. And similar to what you just said, right? And that's why you ended up working with myself, is because we have similar values. But for me, kind of, if you are focused on delivering value, giving and giving and giving, the financial side of things will come as a byproduct of that. And people say to
mhm,
me all the time, oh, you do this in your business or you have this many clients, like, what's the key? And for me, I always say the same. It's like the money that we make is a byproduct of the value that we add into the world. That's it. You know,
mhm,
there's clients that want help and finances is the only thing that's stopping them. I'm figuring something out with them if they actually want help because all I want, like is clients that want help, want support, want guidance. We can figure out finances secondary. So yeah,
mhm.
it's refreshing to hear, especially in this kind of day and age, because yeah, there's so many coaches out there, like you said, in it for the wrong reason. So yeah, talk to me about you started with us. What were your kind of initial thoughts or feelings within the kind of first few weeks of joining the program?
Yeah, well, you gave me all the pieces I required. It was really, to be honest, like again, like I said, I had all the right things. I had done actually the majority of the work in some kind of way. Like I think I was a bit further ahead than necessarily the normal people who would join your program, if anything. I already had a fairly substantial following on social media. I had a very I have a very trusted audience. Um, yeah, but like I said, my content was good. Like I'd done all the research into because I am my client.
Yeah.
So it in terms of like the actual work within the program, it was very helpful to sort of audit what I was doing and like, okay, think about that slightly different and all that. But you just said I paid for basically someone to say, just do this.
Yeah.
And that's all I needed to hear.
Mhm.
And then to just do it in that order. Okay, you do this, you do that. And then also a big thing is having this perspective of someone else who's been where I've been in the business way of making that type of model work and saying, oh, yeah, why don't you think about it like this?
Yeah.
That's key. And in that early stages, it was like, oh, I have been doing that right, or I haven't been doing that part right, or I need to use this way of talking
Mhm.
more in a leader way of framing conversations slightly differently and putting that in that order. So all these little key things accumulate to a bigger thing.
Mhm.
And once you have all, and that's what that gave me was basically, oh, it's like, it's not even like, it's not, to be honest, it might be a case of even doing even less than I was already doing.
Mhm.
It's just make sure you do it enough times with these little changes in language and all that, these little key movements. So yeah, that was incredibly helpful in those first few stages. Is just having that person just say you're doing it right.
Yeah.
It's that. That's what I paid. That's literally what I paid for.
100%. And it's funny because whenever that happens as well, and people are like, "Oh, this is what's going, this is what's happening," I'm like, "Yeah, you just need to now do more of it." A lot of the time,
Hmm.
people think, I need something new. It needs to be, like you mentioned before, new shiny object syndrome. Whereas, like most people just underestimate the amount of volume that you need to do. It's like that thing that you're doing, but it hasn't worked just yet. Typically, and not just you, but other people, they would be like, "Oh, it's not working," and then they'll move on to something else. It's like you just
Hmm.
need to keep doing that thing more and more times for you to kind of get the result. So yeah, it's interesting because whenever somebody kind of comes into the program, a lot of the time they know what they need to be doing, you know, but a lot of the time they're just not doing it, right? Or not being
Yeah.
held accountable enough to execute on it consistently. And yeah, I love because so many of the voice notes I'd go back and forth and you were like, that's gold. And again, I would just be walking. I would send you a voice note, and you'd be like, "Yeah, that's brilliant.
Hmm.
I never really thought of it like that." And again, I say to people all of the time, value is in the eye of the beholder. Some people come in, they're not
Hmm.
interested in the group calls. They want to just have access to me. Other people, they're not interested in, doing one-to-one calls. They just want to have access to the community. So yeah, I
Hmm.
kind of swear by that. Value is definitely in the eye of the beholder. So yeah. Okay, so I want to know then, now that you have joined the program and you were kind of within the program getting support and whatnot, what kind of
Hmm.
breakthroughs or results did you have? Did you manage to sign clients? Talk me through all of those bits and pieces.
Yeah. So I went from not having any paying clients. Again, part of my journey being so, I fucking hate the word sober, but not drinking anymore, alcohol free or whatever, is to help other people achieve the same. So within the last 7 years, I've helped a lot of people just because I want to help people. Like I said, I'm not doing this for the money. The money is a byproduct, and the more money you make, the more people you can help because the more you can scale this, etc., etc. You can't help people if you can't survive yourself or if you can't thrive yourself. That's the key word. You, it's so hard to achieve bigger things when you're just surviving.
Mhm.
So yeah, basically, I went from being stuck in that to then actually making sales for the first time.
Yeah.
And it is that thing. And I think there was someone I met actually in Thailand, and it was a key moment which made me really think. And this is way before we spoke.
Mhm.
Um, and she said she was in a similar type of business, like model wise. And she said, "Well, have you ever invested in someone yourself in terms of coaching?" Like a similar model. I said, "Well, not like that. No, I've invested a lot into myself in other ways,
Mhm.
but not." And she said, "So how do you ever expect anyone to buy something from you if you haven't invested like that in the same way? Because you can't speak with confidence that it works." And
Mhm.
she's like, "Yeah, you might have helped 20, 30, 40 people get sober for free, but that's not the same as investing a large amount of money,
Mhm.
or basically an uncomfortable amount of money is the key word.
Mhm.
Um, and that, what I found was as soon as I did an uncomfortable amount of money,
Mhm.
it's putting a bet on yourself.
Yeah.
And it's like, I am going to do this.
Mhm.
And you're, as a business owner, you're not going to charge me an uncomfortable amount of money if you're not confident in, unless you're a complete scam artist and then run off, but you're obviously not. Um, because if you're not going to get me any results, you're not going to have a business in 1 year.
Yeah.
So just knowing these psychological shifts, and then for me, then I've invested this uncomfortable amount of money to get on a call with a potential client for me and say, look, honestly, this fucking works.
Mhm.
Just even that, of like, okay, I've realized it works for me. That means it can work for other people. So yeah, quite quickly within again, joining your program flagged up a few other issues personally for me in terms of ADHD. And it's like, okay, the work is really simple. And because it's so simple and so easy for a brain like mine, I find it quite hard to focus. And that's a very unique problem to me. And that's something you can outsource in other ways. But after a while, I was like, oh, you just do that, you do that, you do that. It pops out a client at the other end and you get to help someone. So yeah, quite quickly from just doing the work, I started getting clients. So you helped me, you guided me into solving my problems.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm now here. Where are we? November. I joined you. I can't remember when it was. I think it was May, June or something.
Yeah.
6 months ago. Comfortably getting clients when and as I want to help more people. So it's like problem solved in that regard, you know. And again, it helped me discover a few other things, personal things about myself, which I have to be totally honest, is way more valuable than getting any clients, because once I solve those problems, the rest of my life gets easier. You can help more people. And again, the key thing here is that it's not about making money. It really isn't. Yeah, the money is nice. The money helps you live a lifestyle, and we all need some money to just eat and pay the rent, you know. But the fact that I'm now sat here with I'd say quite a successful business, helping some wonderful people get their own lives back, there's no greater feeling than that.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, I remember when I think, signed your first client with us. And then I remember very vividly, you were like, yeah, I'm so excited to help this person. And that's, a great kind of indicator for me that I'm working with the right people, because like you just said, you hired me because you knew that I was serious about just helping you, giving you,
Hmm.
and you were again wanting to do the same. Yeah, all right. It's like, yeah, 2K client, 3.5K client, this client, that client. Well, every time I was like, yeah, I'm just excited to help change their life. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's when you're kind of in the space for the right reason. So yeah, I want to know, I'm curious, was there a point in the program where kind of things just clicked for you and you're like, I can see how this works. I kind of feel like it was when you got your first client, but maybe I'm wrong.
Trying to think of anything specific. I think the biggest point for me, it really was just getting on board and then seeing the inside of the system, what you use for yourself, and uh, help your clients implement,
Mm.
which is the system anyone will go through who will potentially be watching this even and comes through. So you get to experience it yourself.
Mm.
So I could go back and look at our conversations and say, oh, that's what actually helped me join you. So I could help that with my clients.
Yeah,
So it's like having this very strong piece of evidence because I'm the part of the system
yeah,
was quite golden. But just seeing how actually simple it was. None of this is complicated.
absolutely.
Like I don't care what, and I know there's so many people because you have a big emphasis on the self sabotage and limiting beliefs, and that's something I see from my own clients.
Mm.
And I don't care what anyone who's sat here watching this can do what I've done, or can do what you've done, or can do what any of our clients have done, so long as you take action.
Yeah,
And it's not complicated. Nothing about this system is complicated in the slightest. And that's the light bulb moment. It's just like, oh, and it is like you just got to do more and more and more. And then the more you do, the more you fail, but fail is learning.
yeah,
As long as you do learn and take note, then it gets easier and easier and easier. Like today, I had someone, again, because I'm very bad at sending all these messages and the DMs to people, which is a huge part of it. But I had someone who I could see that my first message to them was in March, so before I joined you,
yeah.
and there's a bit of back and forth, and they eventually just sent me a message today. Hey, how do I join your Grow Sober program? We haven't even spoke to them. Like, so do you know what I mean? That's what 8, 9 months ago, or whenever it is. Eventually, yeah, it gets easier and easier and easier. But again, it's like anything in life. This can happen really quickly, which I know a lot of people watching this are probably in the same boat as myself. Like money could be really tight, been trying this for quite a long time. Really got to make a sale just to pay the bills. And it's like, is this going to work quickly? If you put the work in, yes.
Yeah.
But as a business, any business is a long term game. And I think that's the way to look at it, is like to fail as much as possible, because failing is the best way to grow.
Yeah.
Because if you're comfortable, if you're winning all the time, you ain't learning shit.
No.
You got to fail. And I think just you showed me the way that it works, that light bulb moment. And it made me realize that all my failing in the past was the learning, you know, and just to be like, bang, and it's that simple. It's like, oh, and
Yeah.
it's sort of like the relief, you know? So, yeah, of course, there's been loads of light bulb moments. I can sit here and list loads of like little things. Okay, like, just changing a keyword to lead a conversation rather than like asking them a question. Say, hey, would you like to jump on a call with me? Rather than just say, right, let's schedule a call. I'll show you the next steps.
Yeah.
That shift is huge.
I remember where I was when I said that to you as well. I remember we were at the in-person events and I'd sent you a message over and I was like, you were like, oh, there's a few people interested, but, struggling to get them on a call. I was like, this is what you need to do. Position it this way. This will work better. And I think you did it
Mm-hmm.
and booked like 2 or 3 calls and straight
Yeah.
away. So, no, I appreciate that as well because I love everything you just said. I echo because I think people, you know, they think that they just join some form of program and it's going to kind of get them everything that they want. Well, joining the program just gets you access to all of the information. The most
Mm-hmm.
important, as you just said, is the execution. When people
Yeah.
see, oh, they see people like George who's done 23.5K in like 73 days with us, or Cully who's done like 20K in a month. all,
Mm-hmm.
all they did differently to other people is just they just executed quicker. That's it.
Yeah.
There's no
Mm-hmm.
ocean or anything. So yeah, I really just want to kind of echo what you just said. So thanks for sharing all of that. The only other thing I would say is I want to kind of know and understand, that we speak to, so many people every day, every week.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of people who, are thinking about joining us. They're very apprehensive. They're perhaps on the fence. What sort of advice
Mm-hmm.
to those people that are on the fence about joining us?
Cool. I think as humans, we're wired to protect ourselves from, if you look back at our ancestors, ultimately, we're not designed to live in this day we're living in. That's a whole different conversation. But we're wired to survive, not to thrive
Mm-hmm.
again. But we all want to thrive. We all have this desire, or anyone watching this has a desire for more.
Yeah.
And, but what happens is all the time, these opportunities appear. And but to take these opportunities, it requires some level of risk. But then what happens is our brain tells us, no, don't do that. Because what if this happens? What if that happens? What if I invest however much money and it doesn't work? And that's in itself is a form of self-sabotage or a limiting belief. Because the worst case scenario is that you invest money into something and you learn that it doesn't work and you're one step closer to where you want to be. So from where I sit, there's no loss at all. But on the total opposite end of the scale, if you take the risk and it does work, well, you end up sat like myself in a nice apartment in Lisbon, living their dream, living the life that I'd really been wanting for a long time, So I don't really see the downside. And I know it's scary, but if you really want to be successful in life in any form, it doesn't matter whether it's personal relationships, friendships, sport, fucking business, making money, helping people, you've got to take a risk. And the people I see from the people I help, and also just going through life, doing various types of business, various types of careers, entrepreneurial style stuff, is the people who aren't successful in every area of life, again, personal, professional, are the ones who don't take risks.
Mm-hmm.
So anyone who's watching this, I would just ask yourself the question, what's the worst what could happen? Because I guess that's kind of up to the person watching. Depends how you want to look at it.
Absolutely.
So that's that's the way I'd put it. I think if you want to be successful, you need to take a fucking risk, and eventually you have to take a chance on someone.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember well, firstly, thank you for that. But I remember when I quit my job for the first time, I told somebody and the first thing they said is, "Isn't that a risk?" And it's always stuck with me. That's what he said. It wasn't congratulations or well done. And it kind of was a huge indicator that that wasn't someone I really wanted to spend that much time with. Because just to echo what you've just said, for me, the biggest risk that you can take in life is not taking any risks, because
Exactly.
get one shot at this. And yeah, if we want to help change the lives of other people, I think I have a kind of a unique opinion on this, and it's not unique to you because you would have heard it, but I believe if you are a coach, you should absolutely have your own coach because we all have blind spots. And that's why I've invested well over 30K in the last kind of 12 months alone in my own personal development. So thank you.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it. Jack,
I just want to say one more thing actually while I think about it, which is quite important. I think it's very easy for me to sit here and say this because I'm someone who's been through some pretty severe life changes, I would say, more so than the average person. I should have been dead a long time ago because of my relationship with alcohol and drugs. And I know from my clients and my social media, people get a bit sick of hearing just the end result of like, oh, yeah, well, I'm 7 years sober now. Or like in this circumstance, yeah, I've gone through the thing, got the results. It's easy for me to sit here and say that. And it's easy for you to sit here and say that.
Mhm.
But to anyone who is watching this, I totally understand how overwhelming it is to like take this risk when you're not a risk taker. Again, it's easy for me because I went on the road age 14. I've never had a conventional job. I don't have any qualifications. I didn't even finish school. My life has been chaos. My life has been risk taking. So it's normal to me. So I understand for the person who maybe has gone through conventional education, gone through the system,
Mhm.
the system which keeps us down of working a regular job, a job we don't particularly like. And it's so uncomfortable to take that risk. But I just think a really good way to look at it again is to think, okay, whenever you get to the stage and if you could envisage yourself on your deathbed and what would you like to be talking about? Is it going to be, are you going to say, oh, I'm really happy that I stayed in that job that I fucking hated? Or I'm really happy that I didn't take a risk? Or what are you really going to? So I'd say to anyone, I totally, totally, totally get it because I've been there at stages throughout my life, and I'm sure you have.
Mhm.
But the quickest way to get to where you want to be is to just ask the person who's already done it for help.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of which, where can people find you if they want to kind of, yeah, want your support and want your help and guidance?
So Instagram is the best and only option actually at the moment. So yeah, just my name, Jack Cottrell, at Jack Cottrell on Instagram, and you'll find me banging on about how bad alcohol is for you.
Jack, it's been an absolute pleasure. It really has, and I'm
Cheers,
looking
mate.
forward to yeah coming over to Portugal and meeting you in person. Thank you so much for your time, man. Take care.
Legend.
Bye bye.